Good morning, everyone. Today we will discuss some properties of norm cosets. So, theorem: G is a group, H is a subgroup of G. Then there is a 1-to-1 means bijection correspondence between the set of all distinct left cosets of H in G and the set of all distinct right cosets of H in G. So, proof: G is a group, H is a subgroup of G. Now, one set S1, the set of all distinct left cosets of H in G. We are taking S2B, the set of all distinct right cosets of H in G. We are taking two set cosets. One is left coset S1, one is right coset S2. Set of all distinct left cosets be S1. Next, set of all right cosets of H in G, S2. Now we defined a function f S1 tends to S2 as follows: f of AH equal to HA inverse, f of A capital H equal to capital H A inverse for all AH belongs to S1, A belongs to G. Now we will prove that f maps S1 tends to S2 is bijection. That is, we will prove f is well defined 1 1 and onto. So if f satisfies these three conditions, then we say that f is bijection. So first one, to prove f is well defined. So what is well defined? We will take AH equal to BH, then we will prove f of AH equal to f of BH. Then we can say that f is well defined. So let AH comma BH belongs to S1. AH equal to BH implies A inverse B belongs to H. We know that. So both sides here A inverse B inverse whole inverse also belongs to H1. So that implies H A inverse equal to H B inverse. Next, AH equal to BH implies what will we get? H A inverse equal to H B inverse. That implies H A inverse is f of AH, H B inverse is f of BH. So therefore AH equal to BH implies f of AH equal to f of BH. Therefore f maps S1 tends to S2 is well defined. Next, to prove f is 1 1. So to prove f is 1 1 means we can take f of AH. Let f of AH equal to f of BH. We will prove AH equal to BH. So f of AH equal to BH implies HA inverse equal to HB inverse. That implies A inverse B inverse whole inverse belongs to H. We know that. What is that? HA equal to HB implies AB inverse belongs to H. So that implies A inverse B inverse whole inverse is B. So A inverse B belongs to H. That implies AH equal to BH. Therefore f of AH equal to f of BH implies AH equal to BH. Therefore f maps S1 tends to S2 is 1 1. Next, third one, to prove f is onto. So f is onto. A belongs to G implies HA belongs to S2. So A belongs to G implies A inverse belongs to G. That implies A inverse H belongs to S1. F of A inverse H equal to H A inverse whole inverse. So A inverse whole inverse is A, that equal to HA. So therefore for all HA belongs to S2, there exists A inverse H belongs to S1 such that f of A inverse H equal to HA. So therefore f is onto. So therefore F is well defined 1 1 and onto. Therefore F maps S1 tends to S2 is bijection. That means F is all the set of all distinct left cosets of H in G and right cosets of H in G. So between these two cosets there is a bijection. So next one definition, index of a subgroup. What is index of a subgroup? G is a finite group, H is a subgroup of G, then the number of distinct left or right cosets of H in G is called the index of a subgroup H in G. So number of right cosets or number of left cosets is called index of H in G. It is denoted by like this. So problem T equal to one, we are taking one problem. H is a subgroup of a group G if T equal to X such that X belongs to G, comma XH equal to HX, then T is a subgroup in G. So solution, G is a group, H is a subgroup of G, T equal to X such that X belongs to G, comma XH equal to HX. Let X1 comma X2 belongs to T. So we will prove that T is a subgroup of G. So we are taking X1 comma X2 belongs to T. So since X1 H equal to HX1, we know that all left cosets is right cosets. Next X2 H equal to HX2. So we are taking X2 H equal to HX2. So therefore that implies we are multiplying X2 inverse on both sides. So X2 inverse into X2H into X2 inverse, that equal to X2 inverse into HX2 into X2 X inverse. So X2 inverse X2 into HX2 inverse equal to X2 inverse H into X2 inverse. So X2 inverse into X2 is E. So HX2 equal to X2 inverse H. So HX2 inverse equal to X2 H inverse. That implies we will say that X2 belongs to T. X2 inverse belongs to T. So X2, that implies X1 X2 inverse into H equal to X1 into X2 inverse H. So that equal to X1 into H X2 inverse. So that implies by associative property we can say this. So next X1 H into X2 inverse equal to H X1 into X2 inverse, that equal to H into X1 X2 inverse. Therefore X1 X2 inverse into H equal to H into X1 X2 inverse. That implies X1 X2 inverse belongs to T. So therefore for all X1 comma X2 belongs to T implies X1 into X2 inverse belongs to T. Therefore T is a subgroup of G. So here in subgroup we know that one important theorem, A comma B belongs to H implies AB inverse belongs to H if and only if H is a subgroup of G. From that theorem we can say that here also X1 X2 belongs to T implies X1 X2 inverse belongs to T. Therefore T is a subgroup of G. So next theorem or next problem, if G is a group, two right cosets HA comma HB are distinct in G if and only if A inverse H comma B inverse H left cosets in G. We can prove that. Solution, G is a group, HA comma HB are two right cosets in G. Now necessary condition, let HA equal to HB. So now we will prove that A inverse H equal to B inverse H. So HA comma HA equal to HB implies AB inverse belongs to H. We know that. That implies again A belongs to H implies AH equal to H. From this theorem we can say that A inverse H, AB inverse H equal to H. So both sides we can multiply with A inverse. So A inverse A B inverse H equal to A inverse H. From the associative property A inverse A into B inverse H equal to A inverse H. That implies A inverse into A is E into B inverse H equal to A inverse H. So that implies B inverse H equal to A inverse H. Therefore HA equal to HB implies B inverse H equal to A inverse H. So next sufficient condition, let B inverse H equal to A inverse H. Now we will prove that HA equal to HB. So B inverse H equal to A inverse H implies we can multiply with E into B inverse H equal to A inverse H. Next that implies A inverse into A into B inverse H equal to A inverse H. Again by associative property A inverse into A B inverse H equal to A inverse H. That implies by left cancellation law A inverse A B inverse H equal to H. So that implies we know that AH equal to H implies A belongs to H. So from that we can say that AB inverse belongs to H. Again AB inverse belongs to H implies HA equal to HB. So therefore B inverse H equal to A inverse H implies HA equal to HB. Again one more theorem. AH is a subgroup of G if and only if A belongs to G. Proof. G is a group, H is a subgroup of G. Necessary condition, let AH be a subgroup of G. We will prove that A belongs to H since AH is a subgroup of G. Implies E belongs to AH and E belongs to EH. So that implies AH intersection EH is a non-empty set. Non-empty set. So next, that implies AH equal to EH. That implies AH equal to H. That implies we can say that A belongs to H. So if AH is a subgroup of G, then A belongs to H. Now sufficient condition, let A belongs to H. We will prove that AH is a subgroup of G. Since A belongs to H implies we know that AH equal to H. So since H is a subgroup of G implies here AH equal to H. So H is a subgroup of G implies AH is also subgroup of G. Now Fermat's theorem, Fermat's little theorem. So statement, for every integer A and every prime P, A power P is congruent to A mod P. Proof, let A be an integer, P be a prime by division algorithm. We know that division algorithm, there exists M and R belongs to Z such that A equal to Pm plus R, comma 0 less than or equal to R less than P. So case 1, if R equal to 0, then we know that it is true. Next, if R is not equal to 0, since P is prime, we have R belongs to U of P, where U of P equal to 1, 2, 3 and so on up to P minus 1. Therefore, U of P is a group under multiplication modulo P. Also, mod U of P means order of U of P equal to P minus 1. So, R power order of U of P equal to 1, since for any finite group G with A belongs to G, we have A power order of G equal to E. So that implies R power P minus 1 is congruent to 1 mod P. So that implies R power P into R power minus 1 is congruent to 1 mod P. That implies R power P into both sides we are multiplying with R. So R power P is congruent to R mod P. That is therefore A power P in R we can put A. So A power P is congruent to A mod P. Here A is an integer, P is prime. This is Fermat's theorem. Now see the problem. If Z9 is a group under addition modulo 9 and H equal to 0, 3, 6 is a subgroup of Z9, then find left and right cosets of H in G in Z9. Solution: Z9 equal to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Addition modulo 9. H equal to 0, 3, 6. Left coset of H in G equal to left cosets. What are left cosets? A plus H, comma A belongs to G. So that equal to set A plus H such that H belongs to H. So right cosets of H in G equal to capital H plus A belongs to G. That equal to H plus A such that H belongs to capital H. So left cosets of H in G in Z9. So what are left cosets? We are taking 0 to up to 8. So 0 belongs to Z9. 0 plus H equal to 0 plus H equal to 0, 3, 6. 1 belongs to Z9. 1 plus H equal to add 1 to H. So 1, 4, 7. Next 2 belongs to Z9. 2 plus H equal to add 2 to H. So 2, 5, 8. Next 3 belongs to Z9. 3 plus H equal to 3, 6, 9. So 9 divide with 9. Why? Because in Z9. So remainder is 0. So 3 plus H equal to 3, 6, 0. Next 4 belongs to Z9. 4 plus H, add 4. So 4 plus 4, 7. Again 10. 10 divide with 9. 9 ones are 9. Remainder is 1. So here 1. Next 5. Same in that way. 5 belongs to Z9. 5 plus H. 5, 8, 2. Next 6 belongs to Z9. 6. 9 means 0. 12 means 3. Next 7 belongs to Z9. 7 plus H. 7, 1, 4. Next 8 belongs to Z9. 8 plus H. 8, 2, 5. 0 plus H equal to here. They see 0 plus H. 3 plus H. Again 6 plus H. So both get 0, 3, 6 elements only. So these 3 are equal. Next again see 1 plus H. Next 4 plus H. Next where is that one? 7 plus H. These 3 are same. So 1 plus H equal to 4 plus H equal to 7 plus H. Next 2 plus H. 5 plus H, 8 plus H. These 3 are equal. So all left cosets are, we can say that 0 plus H, 1 plus H, 2 plus H. In that same way we can we can find right cosets also. 0 h plus 0, h plus 1, h plus 2, h plus 3, h plus 4, h plus 5, h plus 6, h plus 7, h plus 8. Here also we can get h plus 0 equal to h plus 3 equal to h plus 6, h plus 1 equal to h plus 4 equal to h plus 7, h plus 2 equal to h plus 5 equal to h plus 8. So here also we can get 3 right cosets, h plus 0, h plus 1, h plus 2. So next problem, find all cosets of h equal to 1 comma 15 in u of 32. So u of 32, first we will find elements in u of 32. So u of 32 equal to 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, 15, 17, 19, 21, 23, 25, 27, 29, 31. These are the u of 30 elements in u of 32. So next, h equal to what is given, 1 comma 15. So now we can find, you can find left cosets or right cosets ma. I am finding here only left cosets. If you want you can find right cosets also. So left cosets of h in G is, here u of 32 is a group under multiplication. So we can take here AH. So 1 to up to 31 you can take. 1 belongs to u of 32. 1 h equal to, you can multiply one way 1 to h. So 1 comma 15. 3 belongs to u of 32. 3 h equal to 3 comma 32. Next, again 5 belongs to 32, u of 32. So 5 h equal to 5 comma 11 means 55. 55 you can divide with 32. Next 75. So next 7 belongs to 32. 7 h equal to 7 comma 9. So you can find up to 31 belongs to u of 32. So 31 h equal to 31 comma 17 you can get. So here see 1h and 15h and also 31h are same. Again 3h somewhat here 13h is the same. Next 5h. So therefore all left cosets of h in G are 1h, 3h, 5h, 7h, 17h, 19h, 21h, 23h, 29h. These are all distinct left cosets of h in G. So next, find all left cosets of 1 comma 11 in u of 30. First we can find elements in u of 30. So u of 30 equal to 1, 7, 11, 13, 17, 19, 23, 29. So this is a group under multiplication. Again what is given, 1 comma 13. Let it be h. h equal to 1 comma 13. So here u of 30 is a group under multiplication. So we can take for finding left cosets or right cosets, we can take AH such that h belongs to h. So here 1 belongs to u of 30. 1h equal to 1 comma 11. So that equal to h. Next 7 belongs to u of 30. 7h equal to 7 comma 17. So if you want you can find how to get 17 means 11 into 7. What is 11 into 7? 77. In where u of 30. So you can divide with u of 30. So here 32s are 60. So remainder is 17. So we can get 17. Same way, in that same way we can find all the left cosets. So 11 comma 30 belongs 11 belongs to u of 30. 11h equal to 11 comma 1. 13 belongs to u of 30. So 13h equal to 13 comma 23. So 17 belongs to u of 30. 17h equal to 17 comma 7. 19 belongs to u of 30. 19h equal to 19 comma 29. So 23 belongs to u of 30. 23h equal to 23 comma 13. So 29 belongs to u of 30. 29h equal to 29 comma 19. So that equal to 19h. Therefore all left cosets of h equal to 1 comma 11 in u of 30 are h, 7h, 13h, 19h. These are all left cosets of h in u of 30. So next problem. Let order of g equal to 33. The set of all elements of g g is a group. Order of g equal to 33. If a belongs to g, then order of a must divide order of g. So that implies order of a equal to 3 or 11. So if we can take first case, order of a not equal to 3, then a cube not equal to e. So that implies a square, a cube, a power 4, a power 5, a power 6, a power 7, a power 8, a power 9, a power 10, a power 11 are distinct elements in g. So case 2, if order of a not equal to 11, then order of 11 not equal to e. So that implies order of 11, a power 11 whole power 3 not equal to e. So that implies a power 33 not equal to e, which is a contradiction to order of g equal to 33. So therefore order of a equal to how much? 3. So g must have an element of order 3. Now if g is a finite, one more problem, if g is a finite group having less than 100 elements, g has subgroups of orders 10 and 25. What is the order of g? So g is a finite group, order of g is less than 100. Let order of g equal to n, means n is less than 100. Let h1 comma h2 be subgroups of g with order of h1 equal to 10, order of h2 equal to 25. By Lagrange's theorem, order of h1 divides order of g and order of h2 divides order of g. So that implies 10 divides n and 25 divides n, means one subgroup of order is 10, other one is 25. So now we have to find n value, means n equal to LCM of 10 comma 20. What is LCM of 10 comma 20? Means 50. So therefore what is the order of g? Means order of g is 50. So next compute, next problem, compute. First a bit 5 power 15 modulo 7, b bit 7 power 13 modulo 7. So by we are solving these problems by Fermat's little theorem. What is Fermat's little theorem? Means a power p congruence to A mod P. A is integer, P is a prime. So first bit here 5 power 15 modulo 7, that implies 5 power 7 is congruence to 5 mod h. By Fermat's theorem we know that. This implies 5 power 7 into 5 power 7 is congruence to 5 into 5 modulo 7. We know that. Next, that implies 5 power 7, 5 power 7 is 5 power 14. 5 power 14 is congruence to here 25. 25 modulo 7 means 7 3s are 21. So 4. So 4 mod 7. So next we can multiply again with 5. So 5 power 15 is congruence to 5 into 20 mod 7. So 5 power 15 equal to 20. 20 means so modulo 7. 7 2s are 14 is 6. So 5 power 15 is congruence to 6 mod 7. Next, B bit 7 power 13 modulo 11. So 7 power we know that 7 power by Fermat's theorem 7 power 11 is congruence to 7 modulo n. That implies we can multiply with 7. 7 power 11 into 7 is congruence to 7 into 7 modulo 11. So 7 7s are 49. 49 modulo 11 means we can multiply with divide with 11. 11 4s are 44. So remainder is 5. So 7 power 12 is congruence to 5 mod 11. Next again multiply with 7. So 7 power 13 is congruence to. So 7 5s are 35. Here we can divide with 11. 11 3s are 33. So you can get remainder is 2. So here 2 is 7 power 13 is congruence to 2 mod 11. So next problem. If order of G equal to 15 and G has only subgroup of order 3 and only one subgroup of order 5, prove that G is cyclic. Solution. Order of G equal to 15. Let H1 comma H2 be the subgroups of G, where order of H1 equal to 3, order of H2 equal to 5. Let A belongs to G, then order of A equal to 1 or 3 or 5 or 15. So if order of A equal to 1, then A equal to E, the identity in G. If A order of 3 equal to order of A equal to 3, then A cube equal to E implies A belongs to H1. If order of A equal to 5, then A power 5 equal to E implies A belongs to H2. Next, if order of A equal to is not equal to 3, not equal to 5, then order of A equal to 15. So order of A equal to 15, then A square, A cube and so on, A power 14, A power 15 equal to E are distinct elements of G. Hence generator A equal to A square, A cube and so on, A power 14, A power 15 equal to E is a subgroup of G. So order of generator A equal to 15 and generator A equal to G. Therefore G is cyclic. So this is the problem. So we discussed today some theorems on cosets and also some problems on cosets and Fermat's little theorem. Thank you.